The amazing spirit of the all-male band may well have been its most memorable feature. It obviously grew out of the orientation program that all freshmen had to attend. Now, such a program today might well be regarded as hazing, politically incorrect, possibly even illegal. Yet former band members believe it was absolutely essential to the success of the group. In fact, ex-bandsmen marked their years in the Mustang band not from their graduation year, but rather from their first year as a freshman, having survived orientation. I asked Dry to fill us in.
Well, there was no tendency towards the university for the freshman class at this time, which was never told about the university, the orientation, the buildings, the things available, or the history of things. No history of the Mustang band where it started. So we just said, well, we'll just start this deal for the freshmen and start a history from it. So we started with the first band, and Cy Barkis on the thing, went through Clyde Roller, went through Oakley, up to this day, named the years, named what they did, and then tried to make the other things work into the thing, the history, and then we worked in with the campus and these different things, and all the stuff that we tried to get them to know the university before they did, because the freshman class wasn't being given that when you went into the university. You were dead. When you went in that campus, I don't know where Brooks Hall is or where this hall is or anything else. So you just had to learn all that stuff. They knew it from their scavenger hunt that we put on and made them go after things and find it. They knew that university pretty well. And then they said, well, that's really mentally hazing your freshmen. We disagreed with that totally. And to this day, probably, Jim Caswell probably still disagrees with me, and I disagree with him. It was the basic load of the band to do, and it did its job. Enough said. Now that's up to him to do his job out there. He's still doing his. We're finished ours right now, but we like to keep the thing going and get the band on this spree decor deal. Hub of SMU spirit, we want it back to that, if at all possible. And I would love to see it, because it is the hub of SMU spirit.
It absolutely is. And band members were required to learn the campus, to learn the buildings, to learn their way around. They were required to know the names of other bandsmen, which was different from a 300-piece UT band, for example, where nobody knew each other in the band. There were a lot of people that they marched with and they were not acquainted with. That wasn't the case at SMU.
Oh, you knew every person in the band, where they were from, and part of their other things too. And if not, you did, and this is called hazing, bird dogging. Very simple motion. Just hang this way on one leg. That's your penalty. Wasn't anything emotional about the thing. Just a little penalty for not doing bird dog, freshman. And they'd bird dog. But they knew it was causing it. And they want one bird dog, and that was it, if they could help it.
Coach, when did you bring back the beanies and
First year.
the t-shirt? Was that the very first year you did beanies?
So we want to get them recognized on the campus.
And athletes wore them at that time too, didn't they?
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody wore 'em.
All the freshmen wore them.
Yeah,
And if you took it off,
and they took it off.
it put us in the
thing.
fountain.
And the band kept it.
They threw us in the fountain.
And still today they wear them. And they're the only ones that do. And that's tradition. There's another tradition you're talking about. And you remember these things.
Sure. Did y'all bring in the band early like we did?
Brought them in a week ahead of time.
Brought them in a week ahead of time. Marched them early and marched them late.
Early and
marched them hard.
Marched them early, played them during the day, and did the orientation at night.
Do you remember when the phrase "Hell Week" became a reality? Or?
Well, when they thought, my gosh, it's tough.
That heat was always so bad.
Well, the heat was bad and physical, you know. When you march in that heat and you got the physical strain and there's upperclassmen on you, name this, what time did Humphrey Lee become president of this university? You know, that type of thing, the constant heat to them on here and there. And they started calling it Hell Week. I think one of the Marines started calling it, ex-Marine or something like that, came and started referring to it as Hell Week. So I think that's the way we picked it up.
Well, I know that there are just a lot of us to whom that week has meant more to us every year, just about. I know
Well,
it
you
does
ought to.
me.
You were a freshman whip.
Yeah, that's right. That
See,
is
the
exactly
freshman
right.
whip, as you know, commanded the freshmen, and he did all these things. It's up to him to mold the freshman class. And he molded the freshman class. Bob was a dandy. He had a hat on him that make Hussein look sick.
Well, you had a Pirates hat on
I had
when
a-
I was a freshman. I think
That-
you were assistant
I think
whip.
that's the hat that Coach remembers. Was that?
Must be.
Was
That
that Pirates
pirate
hat?
hat is burned in our memories, I'm sure.
But you see, there again, that's tradition. You remember those things. You remember how they do. And Bob brought all these traditions out and kept them going. And Butch learned them. He never had them before he came to the band. Fortunately, he didn't have to put up with them because he's a sophomore. He did. He danced away from that one pretty good, didn't
Well, but didn't put up with that, but I remember, of course, things didn't happen till you got there. That's for sure. But that first year, you have to remember that most of the guys in that band had gone to SMU, had come out of the war, and were like Steve McDermott and people like that.
Tommy Lloyd.
Tommy Lloyd, they were almost 30 years old,
That's right.
and I was 18 or 19. So that
They had a 100-piece band of veterans, and those veterans didn't last long.
No.
They took off. But they had other things in mind. They were interested in football that time. They interested in getting back in there, making a living, you know. They just got out of service.
Another thing that we always got to do that I remember very, very well and really enjoyed were the weekends out at either the Colwell Ranch or
Colwell
out at
Ranch.
the Grantham Ranch.
That's right.
Why don't you go over with us a little bit about the Peruna tradition?
Well, that's a little touchy.
Well, just kiss it, Coach. Just kiss it. And,
Oh, that was fun. They just met Peruna, and had a nice picnic out there, and they used to listen to a ball game. If we were playing Miami, they'd listen to it out there, have our picnic lunch, and get to know each other better, and have the right out on the ranch. We're there and introducing Peruna by petting him and so forth, and you know, making love to Peruna, kissing him a little bit, and saying, "We love you, Peruna. Play hard. Wear factors were not available."
well, I guarantee you that every band alum can explain exactly what happened when they did that.
Oh, that's right.
I guarantee you it's still
They
fresh
never
in all of
they
our
never
memories.
forgot that.
They never forget those
But
things.
I was the first one to do it.
Exactly. You were the example.
I
And you
would
did
not
that,
do it.
You did it
I
every year.
would not let them do
That's right.
anything I didn't do myself.
That's exactly right.
And there was another little gag that was run during Hell Week, and that typically started with the very first evening's festivities when everyone was introduced. And unbeknownst to the freshmen that were coming in, someone that was really an upperclassman was introduced as a new freshman to the university. And this particular individual always seemed to have a pretty bad attitude, and he was very quickly escorted out the door. It's kind of referred to as the freshman plant, but it was a little gag that was run for a number of years just to get everybody's attention.
Just be sure that they would kick them out. They'd forget it. Get out of here, and we'll escort you out of here if you don't get with us. You know.
It was saying to the freshmen, you need to have your attitude straight or we're not going to stand for
Well,
it.
that's right. That's right. But I still think the cutest thing, we discussed this a little bit ago, was with Ralph Ham when he came to the band. And does Ralph Ham do y'all freshman class?
Right, and you got up there, and I mean, you looked at us, and you did about a 10-minute speech about not laughing when Ralph Ham came down.
And then when I would say, don't rap this man, gentlemen, please. He's got an impediment. And let him finish it. Well, he stuttered. Now, this is Ralph Ham. Thank you. But real nice of you to have me here tonight. I want you to know this band means everything to me, and I'll never forget it. Now, want you in your yard like I did. I said, Ralph, do you always stutter like this? He said, only when I talk. And I used to bring that freshman class down. Boy, they was quiet out there. And then
And you
and
had
they
it.
said,
And you
man,
had it."
we've had it.